Rambo. Anywhere and everywhere, the savage forces of General Warhawk threaten the peace-loving people of the world. There's only one man to call. Get me Rambo. From the canyons of skyscrapers to the canyons of remote mountain peaks, Liberty's champion is unstoppable. Rambo, helped by the mechanical genius known as Turbo, and the master of disguises named Cat, the honor-bound protector of the innocent. Rambo, the force of freedom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RAMBOMANIA. Tonight, an episode I have been waiting to do forever. Rambo and the Force of Freedom, baby. Yeah. I decided I'd do this one just a little bit differently tonight. Seeing, for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, it would take me forever to write this one out. A lot of times I do have to rely on my own scripts to keep my brain in check. Otherwise, I just ramble on and on and on and on and on, like you have heard me do many a time. Another reason, the book for this season, fortunately, I've managed to get everything into one book. Usually, as you've seen maybe in the past, in the, in the seasonal outtakes, I'll put, at the end of those videos, I like to put pictures of all the scripts, and they're just like stacks upon stacks of paper and stacks upon stacks of books. So lucky for volume 3 of this season 2, The Cult Phenom, luckily I got it all into one book, and there's only a couple of pages left, but maybe like three or 4 pages left, and that's 2-sided pages. Yeah, that are left. So I thought, maybe it would be cool to wing this one, Maybe, I thought maybe it would be cool to do like a Wikipedia kind of thing. So if you want to open up the Wikipedia for Rambo and the Force of Freedom, you can. And maybe you can join me in reading all this stuff. Or, just kick back and hang out and enjoy the show. So this new incarnation of Rambo, the children's animated show, very controversial. Some of these episodes deal with really mature themes, and it's kind of desensitizing as far as kids are concerned. Because kids, I really think should grow up not really labeled to this type of violence. But there's like a lot of gunplay and stuff like that. Mickey Cardoni actually pointed that out to me. It's like, for these kinds of cartoons, I think other than G.I. Joe, this was a little more graphic than what it should have been for the time. And there's just some badass villains in this one. Just some badass characters. And like I said before, very controversial, even to the point of saying, at one point, the main baddie in this one is General Warhawk. Kind of imagine Podofsky from Rambo First Blood Part 2 with a hand cut off, with like a horseshoe hand. Maybe it's supposed to be a reincarnated or survived Podofsky. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But, even at one point, these guys do some really despicable things. In the end, it usually always comes down to money and power, but there's even a time here going over these episodes where General Warhawk has these teenagers, little kids, running around, no joke, trafficking cocaine, raiding other drug cartels, and stealing fucking yayo, stealing cocaine, driving around, on blow, driving around, blasting that fucking car stereo, imagine that, it's high as a kite, fucking delivering all the drugs, all the fucking cocaine to General Warhawk, all out of their minds, driving down those streets with that fucking soundtrack from the car blasting, Scarface style. And yeah, um, we gotta add some humor to this show. Anyway, so I thought I would Wikipedia this one. Enough said about the villains. The villains are actually pretty cool. Pretty, well thought out villains. I had all the characters to this show. I had the whole Force of Freedom play set. Everything. All the toys growing up. A lot of them met their doom due to fireworks and other little things like that. But, yeah, so I thought I would enlighten you on Rambo and the Force of Freedom. So let's get down to it. So Wikipedia, what Wikipedia has to say in terms of Rambo and the Force of Freedom is an animated series based on the character of John Rambo from David Morrell's book First Blood and the subsequent films First Blood and Rambo First Blood Part 2. The series was adapted for television by editor-head Michael Chain, and the series even spawned a toy line. The cartoon ran for 65 episodes and was produced by Ruby Spears Entertainment. The series debuted on April 14th, 1986 as a 5-part miniseries and was renewed in September as a daily cartoon. So Rambo was cancelled in December of the same year. Okay, now we're going to move down to the plot. So, in the cartoon, John Rambo was part of a G.I. Joe-like team called the Force of Freedom. They went on special missions around the world battling against a paramilitary terrorist organization named Savage, short for the Specialist Administrators of Vengeance, Anarchy, and Global Extortion. Great name. Great kid stuff here. So, fictional countries and backstories would frequently be featured, some of them echoing, historical or current real-world events. And, like the cartoon was filled with hand-to-hand style combat, and gunfire with accurately illustrated guns. Yet, unlike the original R-rated films, there was never any sensational violence, blood, or gore, since this series was intended for, family viewing. So, moreover, no one ever died. The bad guys always won and lived to fight another day, even though Rambo would thwart them or their plans. The only real injury on the show happened when Rambo broke his arm in a survival episode. Rambo, who was seldomly called by his first name, even by Troutman, used violence as a last resort and relied on his resources and guile or guild to outwit his opponents. A character trait not consistent with the latter films. Rambo avoids deliberately killing, anyone in the first movie. So now we're going to get down to some of the character bios. Main character, list of Rambo characters. So here we go. It even has this main article. I think wow, that's cool. That's, I guess we'll get into that another time, but it has this stem-off page with all the main characters from the movies. But anyway, as far as the Force of Freedom is concerned, John Rambo is voiced by the everly and so talented Neil Ross, the main protagonist of the series. He leads the Force of Freedom in fighting Savage when called in by Colonel Samuel Troutman. When not on missions, Rambo would either be shown tending to an animal or helping kids with their survival training. So it's a little more of a native Rambo than we're used to, which is really cool because I love that side of Rambo, and it's a side of Rambo I really want to see them dive into in the next movie. But John Rambo, voiced by the excellent Neil Ross, he's just got a ton of great work under his belt, including G.I. Joe and Transformers and many other things like that. So Colonel Samuel Troutman, voiced by Alan Oppenheimer. Alan Oppenheimer, very great voice actor as well. He serves as the group's commanding officer. He would often call in Rambo when he is shown either tending to an animal or helping kids with their survival training and skill. Colonel Troutman would sometimes accompany Rambo on his missions, and I love that about this version of Troutman, that he does accompany Rambo on the missions. And it's sad that Krenna died, because I could just imagine him in Rambo 4, or I could imagine him in the Expendables, and how great, maybe if they had a little more action for Troutman in Rambo 4, because Troutman's the guy who trained Rambo, so Troutman's like the bee's knees himself, and a lot of people take that for granted, but Troutman's the real deal. He can fuck things up, especially when you get into Morell's reading of Troutman's character in First Blood and First Blood Part 2. Edward Turbo Hayes, another great character, voiced by the wonderful and talented James Avery, is an African-American mechanical engineer and race car driver. And according to his toy bio, Turbo is also a first lieutenant who graduated from the Air Force Academy. There's another character, Catherine Ann Cat Taylor, or K-A-T, to abbreviate Catherine Ann Taylor, voiced by Mona Marshall. Great voice on Mona Marshall. An Asian American military girl who is a master of disguises, gymnastic, and martial arts alike, all of that combined. Behind every great man, there's a great woman. And Kat seems to have a crush on Rambo. She's based on Ko Bao from Rambo First Blood Part 2. So kind of imagine like if Ko didn't die, but I could understand the reason why they went for the latter of renaming the character. White Dragon, voiced by Robert Ito. Brilliant Robert Ito. A heroic ninja who is Black Dragon's twin brother. And according to his toy bio, White Dragon also had developed a ninja training program for the U.S. military. Another great character, T.D. Touchdown Jones, former football player and ally of Rambo. And another great character, Chief, an Indian ally of Rambo, because Rambo is half German and Native American. And it's funny that they would put those two together, German and Native American. If you do the math, you'll know what I'm coming up with. But yeah. So here's like just some great casting information, as well as character bio. And I guess this is like the newer formed, or a new version of the Baker team. Like the Baker team from First Blood, or the Rambo prequel, in a sense, that this is like a new form of Baker team that Rambo has joined, the Force of Freedom.